Get ready to transform how you communicate and market, not only in business, but in your life. This is Marketing Matters. For more information on today's show and other topics, visit RyanSauers.com. Here's your host, best-selling author and national speaker, Ryan Sauers.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another Marketing Matters with Ryan Sauers. Again, super excited on BusinessRadioX.com to be here on our new home. We are broadcasting live from the Subaru of Gwinnett studio inside the Sonesta Gwinnett Place, Atlanta on Hotel. Great place, great radio studio. On every episode of Marketing Matters, we're going to be talking marketing. We're going to be talking human to human and the importance of that in the sales relationship. We're going to be talking business-related things, community-related things. And be sure to follow us on Twitter. My handle there is at Ryan Sauers, S-A-U-E-R-S. Instagram is Ryan T. S. and Todd Sauers, S-A-U-E-R-S. Facebook handle is at Sauers Consulting. And those will be things where our radio shows are posted. But let's get to things that are more important than that. And I am so excited to have my friend and colleague, Ron Weber. He, among many things, is the owner and founder of Dogwood Pizza. Great pizza place, and just a quality guy. So as I was looking at my first few radio shows, Ron was a guy that came to mind as a guy I wanted to invite on the show. So Ron, thank you for being here.
Oh, it's great to be here.
Well, we appreciate it, and we want to talk a little bit about marketing today. But let's start with something you and I were talking before we got on the air. You have an interesting story because you've not only do a ton of stuff in the community, which we'll come back to later, and that's how you and I first met. You've not only had a smaller business that's very tied to the community, you've been in corporate America. And tell us a little bit out there, because some people really do look at it and go, man, traveling around the country, you're so lucky to go to all these cities. And there's other people that say, I'd rather do that versus small businesses. How about sharing a little bit of your business background with this is a business-related radio show, with our listeners?
Wow. I graduated college. I was married my high school sweetheart, my junior high sweetheart.
That's awesome.
And we're still together. But I started into the corporate world, started working my way up. Ended up in Atlanta in 1981 as the general manager for a uniform rental company, Cintas. And I was with them for about 13 years, and I was recruited away, went to another uniform company, worked my way up further. I was a vice president with them. I was national sales manager at one time. I was vice president of operations. And we got sold out.
I'm starting to see a theme here.
Yeah, well, there's consolidating industries.
Right.
We got sold out. I did not like the new owners. I fulfilled my contract with them, and I was recruited away to another large business. I ended up with Sears Termite and Pest Control, who got sold out.
Yep, the theme continues.
So about that time, I started having all these thoughts about, am I really doing what I want to do?
Right.
And my son was graduating from college, and he said, Dad, you need to buy a pizza parlor.
Right.
And I said, are you crazy? And he said, no. But I started looking for and I think it's a pretty good story. I started looking for a business to buy, Ryan. And I was out one day, and my wife, you're sitting at home, and your wife comes home. She's a teacher. And she says, well, how was your day? What did you look at? And I said, wow, I looked at a furniture company. This is a true story now. I looked at a furniture company. I looked at a moving company, and I looked at a cellular phone company today.
Okay.
And kindergarten teacher, she looks at me and she says, I've always heard that if you're going to do something for the rest of your life, do something that you really like.
Yeah.
And as a joke, I looked at her and I said, I like pizza. And I do. I love pizza.
I love me too. That's my favorite food, actually.
And she looked at me and she said, go buy, at the time it was Buck's Pizza.
Yep.
And Buck's Pizza wasn't for sale, but we negotiated. I paid too much, and we never looked back. My son became my partner. And we just had a great time with it. It's been 15 years now.
You've obviously with the stuff you and I do in the community, have hold you in, as I said before, in super high regard. But yeah, I do remember. I remember that, and when we first met, we were doing some stuff for some school clusters, and you were holding signs for me, and I've gotten to have your pizza, and it is a phenomenal pizza, and I am a pizza guy. So that is, my wife's like, how can anybody eat that much pizza? I even have some of those organic ones at home for a. Like the I don't know, they're Paul Newman, whoever it is, but the ones that are healthy if you don't get out, and I can eat pizza 4 times a week, and if a quick meal if the pizza's good, and
it is the perfect food.
It's the perfect food. But you know what's funny, Ron, is my wife doesn't really like it. And most of my kids don't really like it. So if we go to a pizza place, they're always like, well, what else can we get? I'm like, how are you my offspring? That's not right. That's not right. So you did well, first of all, I think in today's world, I married my college sweetheart, and we grew up together. So, having that relationship, I think, is key, to have that sounding block. And she's also a teacher.
It's great to have family support.
Yeah, and I've been, so just to kind of share. So, it's interesting when you have someone with your level of experience, as we were talking about being on air, the problem is people say, I'm going to go take this job with this company. But to a certain degree, you're an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur. I mean, none of us are God. None of us can control the future. But to a certain degree, people, when I teach entrepreneurship courses in college, they say, well, if you're an entrepreneur, you can just kind of work when you want, right, Ryan? And I'm like, no. I said,
I want one of those jobs.
I want one of those jobs.
I want that job.
Yeah, and you and I were working hard to find a time that we could all get together and get in the studio. And the thing is, what I think they always say, do I have flexibility? In other words, if I need to work Saturday and Sunday and Monday to catch up on something that I need, yes, if I move things around. But are you asking, can I just go play golf every day? No. And I think I've seen a lot of people, I'm sure you have too, they get to a certain age in their career, and unfortunately the loyalty factor is not there from a big company, and the next thing I know, they're saying we can bring in somebody else. They call it position is eliminated, code word.
Absolutely, yes.
And then you're scrambling to say, what's the next job? And to me, I'm kind of like you, is doing what you love. But I want to get back to your stuff. So Dogwood Pizza. Now, let's tell people where Dogwood Pizza is. That's in give them a geographic range.
We are right in the heart of the Brookwood High School cluster.
Okay.
We're at 850 Dogwood Road, a little strip mall that's off the beaten path. In fact, the road used to run through the end of our parking lot, but probably 1997, I'd say, the county rerouted it. And it really made sense to do so.
Sure.
But they rerouted it, so it went another 500 feet or so away. We're not visible from the street.
Yeah.
People have to know where we're at. We are totally surrounded by Ace Hardware, Bank of America, Sonic, and then we're just this old strip mall that's back on the end, and we're clear on the far side of it.
Right,
and,
right. I remember where we are.
So part of the challenge of marketing a business was letting people know where you're at.
Yeah, letting them know
because there's no street visibility.
Yeah, because I was trying to remember. So you didn't have an in-dining option to a few years back? Was that right? Or it was more delivery beginning, right?
It's been, wow. It's been 5 years now.
The years are blending.
I'm telling you.
I was talking to my wife yesterday in the Parkview cluster, since you and I happen to live together. This hits Metro Atlanta and hits the whole globe because we can hit anybody we want, and people all over the place listen to this. But a lot of people have no idea where Parkview and Brookwood are, but since we're near each other. Anyway, I was talking about some different things, and it is just crazy, how small a world it is and how much stuff is developing in the areas. But I'm just become GPS, Waze, whatever stuff for my own brain, so I don't have to remember. But time is just getting away from us, and so I guess 5 years is about right. And but 15. So it's been 15 years with the pizza place now. Is that right?
Yeah, we bought it and took it over in July of 2003.
Well, so we're almost at 16 years. Goodness,
yeah,
that's what I'm talking
16
about.
Years.
And the reason I was, and I lost my train of thought there a second ago. I was thinking my 2 daughters played on a state championship in soccer last year, and I was thinking, that was a year ago. I mean, literally, and they're deep into the season this year. So that's where I was going. I was like, how time's flying.
Yeah, and I tell people, my sons, and I think of them as my little sons, and Matthew's going to be 38 years old.
Yeah.
Trent's 35.
Yeah.
And they have children. I have grandchildren.
Yeah.
And it's just, I guess one of the things I really love about the pizza business is that I get to work with my family.
Yeah.
The dynamic changes. It's not father-son.
Yeah, sure.
They don't listen to me like they did when I was, maybe that changes as they grow up too. But we're more business partners.
Right.
And so it's not the daddy says to do this. It's no, I don't agree with that, Dad. We need to look at this.
Yeah.
And we've made some real changes because of the input from my kids.
Well, I tell you, your son was one of them is Matt.
Matt.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's my older. Trent's my youngest.
He's give him a shout out. He's got a podcast, right?
He does.
You can give him a shout out. You can give anything.
He does. He's got a podcast called What's Up, Dunwoody.
Okay.
And he's got a lot of loyal listeners. He's. I'm sorry, Ryan. I don't understand it.
Oh, no! You just tell him just to give us a shout out, and we'll call it even. How about that?
Well,
the marketing
that's good. That's good. He'd be happy to talk with you about it. But it's local Dunwoody news. He knows the politicians. He knows the movers and the shakers and the new businesses and the business owners. They search him out. He's got a voice in the community.
That's great.
And it's pretty cool, actually.
Well, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
What's up, Dunwoody?
What's up, Dunwoody? All right. So What's up, Dunwoody? You give the Marketing Matters a shout out later, but check that one out, listeners. But, I do want to say, I've spent my career either working in family businesses. Now, my newest business, my only partner in it is my wife. But I was in partnership with my father for many years, and then I've done consulting with family businesses. So I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly. Yeah. Is a fascinating phenomenon, but it's really fun when it's done right. So I want to let's talk a little bit. Ron, you do so many things, and I know you've got forums, and you're such a pulse of the community, and you give back so much. Just let our listeners know. There's business owners I know, I guess I would say it like this. They say, I'm just too busy with my business. We don't have any time to do anything else. We try to do something, give a donation to a charity once a year, but we're just too busy, too slammed, too drowning. But to me, this is what I would like to add, and I want your thoughts. Our legacy is, how we help each other, how do we leave the world a little bit better place? And you do so many things. I try to do what I can do, but what do you tell those businesses about the impact they can make in their piece of the world and the community?
Well, first off, if you're going to have a business, the business is all-encompassing. You need to look out into the community. You need to become a part of the community. I've never looked at my small business as taking money from people for my betterment. Mm-hmm. I've always looked out and said, what can we do to support the areas around us that are supporting us? And so if we're talking marketing,
sure,
the little guys like us, we can't go on TV and go nationwide marketing. We can't have TV commercials. We can't, it's tough to afford a radio commercial.
Sure.
And I actually tried TV once, and it was, it's expensive.
Yeah, I know.
But if your heart is in your community and your heart is in your business, it all becomes one. You have to get outside the walls. I used to open franchises, and it was like pulling teeth to get the owners to leave the four walls of their business. Mm. But every morning I would show up and I would grab them, and we would go visit 10 different places, 10 different businesses. I take them by the ear and take them to the mall, and we go store to store to store to store to store to store to store. Anything we could do. I took them to the schools and introduced them to the principals and to the administration at the school and taught them what they can offer to the schools, because you're giving back to the community. You're supporting your lifestyle. And let me tell you something. Schools are the community.
Oh, yeah.
They drive your home values. They drive your business values. They drive everything in that community.
Yes.
Which is why we love Brookwood. But and Parkview's awesome too.
That's all right. No, we're both there. But you're right. I mean, it's great areas,
and it's a great way to get the word out, and you have to find ways to get in the door. And I volunteered to do a lot of things with the schools in the early years. Mm-hmm. Not so much Brookwood, because I had franchises in other clusters too, but serving on school councils. They always need people.
Oh yeah.
Any sort of function, we used to go set up tables and sample. We just give the stuff away.
Give the stuff away.
Down in Centerville, we'd give away $1,000 worth of pizza in some of these outings, and it was putting a slice of my pizza into somebody's mouth and letting them enjoy it. And guess what? when they thought pizza, they'd pick up the phone and call us. It's funny how that works.
But I've seen with the magazine zone. That's not what we're doing with this show, but we do so many things about how many people are making a difference in the community and mainstream media. This is where I disagree. Most people are like, oh, the world's gloom and doom, and honestly, I would say, you tell me if you disagree or agree, but I think most of the people I know want a better life for their family, their kids, their community. There's people who just want to create chaos. There's news that's reported because of sensationalism. But there's a lot of good people doing a lot of good things, not just here, everywhere where I travel.
Oh, there's a ton of people that want to do good for their communities. They want to do good for others,
and they're giving hours of their life. They're not getting paid to do it.
Oh, that's right.
But that's not reported. So part of what I wanted to have you on and other people. Is we all help each other share this, because if you don't and all you watch is, oh my gosh, the world's coming to an end because of that, you get fed information that's really not accurate to really what's going on.
Oh, absolutely.
And
absolutely. It's very depressing.
It's incredibly depressing, which I choose not to watch. But most people I talk to on the phone, we had a guest a couple weeks ago, we were talking about, what about that? What do you think? And this is something big to me. We were talking with Pat Soltis, who's on a few weeks ago, and she runs a big realty firm, and says, this human-to-human touch. And I was talking about, I get asked to speak now in Vegas on human-to-human sales, human-to-human marketing. Now, Ron, how ridiculous does that sound? Let's be more human. Let's build relationships and build more trust in the sales and marketing process. When was that not important?
Well, it's always been important. Coming up in the industrial world, You had to, they taught you to identify needs and sell to those needs and to ask open questions, and you probe and you find out what the hot buttons are. But the consultative selling process is so important, because if you've got a product that the person sitting across from you doesn't want or doesn't know that they want, you've got to find a way to either find out if they want it or if there is a need you can fulfill. And you do that through a human-to-human, face-to-face contact.
Yes.
It's communication. Dale Carnegie used to say, you become a great conversationalist.
Yes.
If you listen 80% of the time.
Yeah, listen and ask questions.
And the other 20% you ask questions about what the other person just said.
We in doing radio shows for the last few years, especially with business owners, this applies to everything. We've had athletes on the show, we've had business owners on the show, but the bottom line is, if you aren't always learning, if you aren't always asking questions and actually actively listening, how in the world can you grow in your business or get better at whatever you're doing when you think you know it all? And when I speak, oftentimes I'll be in a big group of 200 or 300 people. There's always some guy with his arms crossed.
Yes,
the
body language.
And, and he's like, I've heard this before. I'm like, okay, you know what?
Have you tried it?
Right. Exactly. I'm thinking, like, it must have really hit home, because you're the guy I noticed.
He really bought into that, didn't he?
But, I sit there and go, the beauty of our world is human beings haven't changed. What's happened is we're in a world that is moving quickly. We still have the same number of hours. We still have the same number of things. It's just it seems more and more things are pulling on our attention. But the business opportunity and the community volunteer opportunity, I think you would agree, is people really are starved for that human interaction. They want their voice to be heard. They want to tell their story. Some people go too far.
And therefore you have Facebook.
Yeah. You have, and I've personally taken a hiatus for the last year on my own personal Facebook page, just because, to be honest, it was starting to pull me down. I just saw too much.
Oh, it'll depress you.
It is depressing.
Yeah.
And so I made my mind up with everything I touch and do is saying, if it's not positive, and I don't mean we can have a discussion, if it's not positive and building people up, we don't need any more tearing people down. People need a smile. They need a pat in the back. Sitting trying to be Pollyannish, but it's a tough world, and it can be very negative. So let's talk real quick. I'd like to talk a little bit about just the whole run the Reagan. What is this thing now? We at 25 years, is that right? Is it?
Yeah,
I'm trying to think, isn't that right?
We just had our 25th anniversary.
Wow.
I've been a board member now for 3 years.
Okay. And it says, so tell me what it is. It's a 5K. 10K,
well,
1K?
We have a fun run. We
Fun
have
run,
a 1
okay.
mile fun run. We have a 5K untimed, a 5K timed. We have a 10K, and we have a half marathon.
That's right. Okay.
And
All on Ronald Reagan Parkway.
Yes.
Yeah, I like
yes.
that race.
And
I've
through
done
the
it.
and shout out to the county for 25 years. They give us the Ronald Reagan Parkway 1 day a year.
That's my. I'm not much of a runner, but that's my favorite race because when you run down there, and I was a member of Cannon Methodist for many years, and I saw that, then I knew I could turn around and I could make it all the way back or wherever it was. But that is a cool event. And I know some people. I know you're key involved with it, but it is a great event, doing great.
Oh, and
things.
Cannon is a great partner with us now.
Yeah.
I'm actually a trustee with Cannon right now. I
Wow.
didn't know you used to be.
Yeah, when my youngest daughter was born, she came 10 weeks early, and I was a lay leader at Cannon Methodist
how
Church.
about
Yeah,
that?
yeah, and it was all about, well, what is she, 11 now, and she's done great. But
Yeah, great.
it threw our life for a few years.
Oh, yeah.
She came as a 2-pound baby, and she couldn't go out much. So, but yeah, Cannon. I remember Grace and Cannon being along the run, and I
Yes.
remember
Oh,
being
yeah.
straight down,
Yeah.
and then I've never been much a runner, but like if I get down to this part, I know it's halfway back.
Yeah, that's about right.
It's
But,
so it's what 20, but it's 25 years.
25th anniversary. Parks Mann is the founder, and he started this to benefit the old East Side Hospital, and there was a women's group of physicians or
Yeah.
something there that was some sort of battered women. I don't know.
Right.
I'm sorry, Parks.
that's okay.
We
We can go to that GOOGLE Google. They have all the answers there.
Yeah, but anyway, he put it together and he started getting volunteers, and Eastside jumped right in. Eastside has been our premier sponsor now for 25 years.
Wow.
But it's just a great thing. Now, 3 years ago, the group of women that he was working with, they closed down.
Okay.
And they went looking for other sponsors. They went looking for other sponsors. Well, that's a bad term. They're always looking for sponsors.
Partners.
Incidentally, we were always looking for sponsors.
Yeah, right.
But
There you go.
anyway,
That's
they needed some.
We call those subliminal shout-outs.
Yeah,
Right.
they need some beneficiaries, and so they picked up the Southeast Gwinnett Co-op
That's a great one.
and the Lilburn Co-op.
That's a good one too.
About 4 years ago, you've heard the 25-year story with the Reagan. The members of the board started aging. They were all our age,
Yeah.
not young, when they started. And you add 25 years to it, or 20 years. They're getting up there in years, and it became more difficult for them to keep up because there's a tremendous amount of work with this thing.
Oh yeah.
And so Parks approached me 4 years ago to see if maybe I could bring some people in. If I was interested in it, we could bring some people in. And it was through the Brookwood Cluster Foundation,
Okay.
which is really a misnomer. The Brookwood Schools Foundation, most people call them cluster foundations.
Right.
But we had this group of people together already. So 4 of us came over to the Reagan, and we tried to help build it. And it's been growing ever since.
I believe Steve Ridley. He's
Steve
involved with
Ridley,
it.
yes.
Steve Ridley was
He
a friend
sure
of
is.
mine, and he had sent me a note with the magazines, which is completely different than this radio show. I think we couldn't get something in for this, but we've done stuff on the Reagan trying to promote it over the
Yes,
years.
you have.
and-
Well, we thank you for it.
Oh, well, my pleasure. But, Steve Ridley has been a great conduit up there. So shout out to those guys. Cannon has a special place in my heart, for many years. And of course, we're talking, folks, you're listening all over the place, and we're talking about one little sector of Gwinnett County. But you got to realize this is kind of when you got what's really cool in a marketing communication show, I think is important, and we have, about 7-8 minutes left. I think Ron would agree. You're in this big metropolitan city, and yet it has kind of a smaller time feel where people, if you get involved, you really can benefit your business, live life. You can live there. You can, I don't even know what the words I'm looking for, but you can really be ingrained. And you see people at Kroger.
It's your
Publix.
home.
It's your home.
It's your community. And I look at it. I can't impact the United States.
No.
I can't impact the city of Atlanta. I can impact this little community that I live in.
Yes, and you do.
And well, thank you.
You do.
So do you.
Oh, well, I appreciate that.
But it becomes your home. It becomes what you do, and I love being a part of it, and it grows. But in the process of that growing, it also markets my business.
Yeah, it does.
It's exposure. It just puts a community mind to everything that's tied together with us.
Well, let's tie that back to brand. So Dogwood Pizza has a brand. I have a brand. You have a brand. What do you tell the business owner out there that's or person out there? How about that? Listen to business radio and says, "Well, I'm 25 years old, or I'm 30 years old, and I'm not like his son has the podcast, or I haven't been in a family business, or I didn't even finish college, or whatever it is." I mean, what's the biggest lesson you would tell somebody? You've been in corporate America. You've done a lot of different things about. And to me, it's authenticity and relationships and doing what you say. But what do you tell that person that says, "Well, that's great for you guys to talk about it, but what about me? I mean, I don't know all those things. I don't know how to get started. I don't know how to follow my dream." What do you tell them?
You got to start somewhere. You have to put your foot out. You have to take the first step. It's like I was telling you a while ago. I used to grab these franchisees and pull them out of their four walls early in the morning, and we go visit other businesses. We go visit schools. We go visit churches, because that's where you're going to start selling pizzas.
Yeah.
And it's no different than from my industrial days. If we were selling uniform programs to Ford Motor Company, a car dealership,
sure,
we would go in. We'd make our presentation. Now it's a totally different kind of sale, but we'd make our presentation, and then we'd look out. My sales reps had so many calls they had to make every day. They had to visit so many people. So as you're leaving Sauers Chevrolet, across the street is, Gwinnett Lincoln Mercury.
Yeah.
So what do? You've got time, you go over there. You cold call. I used to call it cloverleaf in the pest control business.
Sure.
If you had serviced one house, you hit the four houses on all the different sides.
Well, it's always going that extra step, and I think that's what I've talked to other guests about over the years is people look at entrepreneurism as we talked about this earlier in the show. You can do whatever you want to do, but to me, there's always one more reach out you can do. There's always one more. It doesn't matter if it's magazines, radio, speaking, whatever. I always feel I can do one step better, and I also always feel it's okay to fail, and it's okay if you learn from it. Sometimes you're going to strike out. And you realize, all right, that didn't work the way I thought it was. We're going to have to tweak it and learn. But there's too many people get too comfortable, I think, Ron, that they just say, well, here's what I've always done. I'm going to play it safe. Well, the world continues to change, and we have to be learning and moving forward. We can't just sit in our comfort zone and never do anything because life happens, right?
You always have to be thinking about newer and better ways.
Right.
True story. My son came to me 3 years ago, my older son, Matt. And like every brick and mortar retail business, I was spending a lot of money every month on advertising, and my advertising was print advertising. It was direct mail. It was menus. It was just anything that I could do. The money mailers and he says, "You're wasting your money, Dad." And I said, "What do you mean?" He's telling Dad.
Right.
No, you don't understand. I've done this my whole life.
Yeah, right.
He says, "No. When people walk in the door, what do they have in their hand? Telephone. We have to reach them on their phones."
Right.
And I said, "Honestly, I don't know how to do that." He says, "Let me do it. Don't advertise. Don't spend the money. I'll take it over." Well, a few months later, my sales started climbing. Now, whether it was the change in the economy,
sure,
whether it was magic, or whether it was Matt and his social media advertising, or maybe it was Trent who had joined us, and he's a fanatic. He's that mad chef kind of guy that won't let anything go out unless it's perfect. And so maybe that helped. And I think that all together. But what I want to say is, the social media advertising has made a huge difference. And we don't, we're not like the national franchises. We don't say, "Hey, come buy my pizza for $5." Because all they're offering is a $5 price.
Well, you're offering an experience and the DNA behind it. And I'm looking. We got a couple minutes left. I want to make sure. Let's do a couple things, Ron. Tell people the best way to reach Dogwood Pizza, and then I want to talk about. You give us a shout out to your forum that you run.
Okay.
And let's do that. So, best way to get information on Dogwood Pizza website, whatever. What's that?
Dogwood.pizza.com.
All right.
And you can order online.
I'm getting hungry.
You can. I mean, just about all of the big people like Yelp. You go to Yelp, search us out.
Okay.
It's not much of a search. We've got a very good Yelp rating,
Yep.
and there's a multitude of different places. You can go to dogwoodpizza.com, and or you can go to our Facebook pages, Instagram. You won't see a lot of advertisements there. You might see some new meals,
Okay.
like we're shout out. We're currently marketing a new beer cheese pizza.
Oh wow, that sounds good.
It's delicious.
That's it.
But you're never going to see a $5 price from me.
Well, that's not the way, local.
If all you have to offer is a price, you really don't have anything to offer.
I'd say all the time, price is price, value is price plus whatever your goods or services are plus you, and that's your unique God-given DNA what you bring to the table. All right, and real quick, you've got a nice forum that I know you're going to post some stuff in, and if you great audience. What's the I can't remember the name the forum you moderate?
Well, actually, Matt started.
Matt
started it. I am a moderator.
Yeah, I can't remember that.
The Brookwood Community Group is the Facebook page.
Okay.
If you put Brookwood Community, it'll come up.
Okay.
And we don't like politics. It was horrible keeping people under control during the elections a year ago or 6 months ago.
Yeah, right.
2016, it was just we didn't want a lot of us versus them on it.
Yep.
Now all the MARTA stuff is starting to permeate, but that's kind of something that's going on in the community.
Yep.
It's not a us versus them, but last night I took a post down that a pretty good friend of mine put up, where he was endorsing a candidate.
Yeah, and
I just took it down, and I sent him a note, and I said, I'm sorry, we don't do that on this forum.
You can't do that on this forum. But so they can find that forum there, and you got is dogwood.pizza.com.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we are, Ron, you and I probably could talk forever with all the stuff we do, but Ron Weber, folks, not only a business founder, owner, been in corporate America, has a son's business of Dogwood Pizza, colleague and friend of mine, so make sure you support them. Also check out the community forum that he and Matt, et cetera, have created. But Ron, I want to thank you for your time, and I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, I thank you for inviting me. This is great.
It was my pleasure indeed. Well, folks, you can if you missed us on air today, rest assured our job is to make it convenient, and that's why we moved our show after a few years over to Business Radio X. You can listen 24/7 at businessradiox.com. Just type in the search bar Marketing Matters, and you'll be able to find this or any past shows. So just like you can stream on Netflix or whatever, you can do it at your convenience if you couldn't listen live today. But we appreciate you. We appreciate our listeners, and we're looking forward to many great shows in the future. This has been Ryan Sauers hosting your show. Until next time, folks, make your marketing matter.